Do you think race might be a factor?
Like my wife said, I don't want to believe that.
There's rumors coming out saying the reason why the Nolan Wells case is getting nowhere is because his stepfather allegedly sold out for a bag.
Why is Nolan's stepfather in coach telling white folks they don't think it had anything to do with race? I still love my brother Elmore. I still love my brother Coach Tracy. But would y'all please watch what comes out of your mouth during this investigation? Because you are undermining justice for Nolan. I hope you're listening, Brother Elmore. And I hope you're listening, Coach Tracy. You are undermining justice for Nolan by saying you don't think race had anything to do with it. How in the hell do you know? How do you know if race had anything to do with it? How well do you know these young people? It was 30 of them, Art. It was damn near 30 white youth spread across 3 boats. How many of them did Elmore know? How many of them did Coach Tracy know? So how are you going to go on TV and say, I don't think it had anything to do with race? Why are you helping them avoid accountability for what they may have done? I don't know if they did it, Art. You don't know if they did it. They don't know if they did it. And they definitely don't know if it was motivated by race. What they should have said, Art, is what Javon said. And that's why I like the young brother Javon. When TMZ asked Javon if he thought it had anything to do with race, Art, when TMZ asked Javon if he thought this had anything to do with race, he said, what? I don't want to answer that question. I don't want to answer that question. Perfect answer. Perfect answer. Or, Art, they could have said, I don't know. Nolan's stepfather could have said, I don't know if it had anything to do with race. Coach Tracy should have said, I don't know if it had anything to do with race. But to say you don't think it had to do with race when he was the only black boy across 3 ships? Are you out of your mind? Why would you say that and help them avoid the Federal Hate Crimes Act? Javon gave a better answer than those 2 black men. Javon, a child, gave a better answer than those 2 black men are when he said, I don't want to answer the question. Since you like to march every year in Washington, D.C., Al Sharpton, why don't you bring your behind to Mississippi and march?
I know it gotta be hard for Nolan's stepfather to walk the Mississippi streets. They would love to catch him. I hope he get away. But is he the reason why the case been on hold? Has he convinced Nolan's mother to not hand over the phone? Did he tamper with the phone? Did he take money from Nolan Wells' friends to play it cool? Don't say nothing about Nolan. It's not like he was your real son anyway. I don't believe none of these rumors. And actually, I think they're silly for people to be making up stuff online, but you just never know. Money talks. A whole lot of people are talking. It's time for them to hand over that phone, and there's no telling what they will find on Nolan Wells' phone.
Case as the family and forensic experts are expected to do a joint investigation of his phone this week. As you know, that phone has been a pivotal, a big point of contention in the case of the Mississippi teen who died 4th of July weekend. It was left on a boat and then wound up in the hands of another teen before Nolan's parents were able to get it. In a statement made by the family's legal team, they want the phone examined right away with both parties in the room. All parties agreed on July 15th that they share the same goal, which is determining the circumstances surrounding Nolan's death.
I really hope Nolan Wells' parents are not hiding anything, because the truth is about to come out really soon.
Breaking news update to the Don Lemon Show newsroom. Nolan Wells' family says that they are ready to turn over his cell phone for a joint forensic examination this week. Their attorney, Ben Crump, says the family's experts are on standby and they've given the district attorney 4 days to choose from. Now, the family says this is exactly what both sides agreed to back in July, on July 15th. Their experts, the DA's experts, and possibly even the FBI examining the phone together. And that matters because there's been a lot of back and forth over whether the family was cooperating. Crump says they are. Their message now is pretty simple. We're ready, the phone is ready, pick a day, and let's do it. The family believes that Nolan's phone could contain critical information about his final hours. So hopefully, this finally moves the case forward. Let me know what you think.
When it's all said and done, black people might take the biggest L in the Nolan Wells case. It probably ain't have nothing to do with race. Nolan probably couldn't swim. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but we ain't got no proof of nothing. His parents been withholding evidence, and now they have no choice but to give up these phones. So what's gonna happen in these upcoming days? It's sort of like a TV series. It's sort of like this been planned and orchestrated. They done looked at the calendar and decided the best time to drop this, best time to drop that. Nolan going platinum out here in these streets. And speaking of the streets, people talking online all day, every day about Nolan Wells.
What's going on? Let me tell you something. Old girl in Mississippi, she think that whatever she say, go. They think that they could just say whatever they want to say, do whatever they want to do, because that's how they do in their little old town in Mississippi. But the ones they got, she would be a fool to give that phone up. Do not give them people your phone. Not singly, hell no. I'm not, because you know what they're gonna do? All they're gonna do, they're gonna extract everything off that phone. And once they take everything off that phone, it's over. You can only extract it once. And then they're gonna take that and they're gonna stick it up under that whole grand jury crap. And I guarantee you, the mama, nobody will know what exactly they extracted from that phone. Okay, and they're going to utilize the phone too to go through it and see what else they can dig up about Nolan Wells to discredit him. They'll probably try to see if they can find videos of him drinking or smoking or whatever. They're going to do some. I'm telling you, listen, the best thing for her to do is not give them the phone. And just because that lady said, oh, you got 48 hours, okay, boo, and you got 48 hours to wipe your butt with this paper. Because what I'm not finna do is give you my son's phone. And everybody keeps saying, well, what is she hiding? It ain't got nothing to do with the fact of what I'm hiding. That ain't got nothing to do with the price of tea in China. That's my son's phone. That's my child's phone. So it ain't like she be on the phone doing stuff or anything crazy like that. So y'all act like she got something to do with it. No. And here's another thing. Y'all are mad. Y'all are mad because that fund me money is being utilized. It's being utilized, and it is getting her the best counsel because she has 3 different firms working. She even has a private investigator. So yeah, they are mad, and they are waking up every single morning counting her GoFundMe money.
To Nolan Wells' mother, do not give them people that phone. They tried to be slick with that, and that's how I know it's something in their phone. Y'all knew them people wasn't in town, and y'all tried that. Y'all tried to be slick. It's a lot of slimy, conniving bullshit with this case, and I just don't understand why it ain't so simple. When it's the law and justice, you know, as they foretell us, we should go seek justice and law and don't put the law in your own hands. But see, when you start playing with people's emotions and feelings, and then people start wanting to act out, then y'all gonna say people are crazy. Nobody's crazy. You playing with people's times and you playing with people's time and their intelligence. We're not stupid. We're not stupid, Mississippi. We see what you're doing. I mean, hello? 48 hours?
48 hours, everyone has been speaking about Nolan's phone. And why has it not been handed over to the police, to law enforcement? Are you kidding me? How is that even a question? How is that even a question? Are people not aware how America runs, how the system is towards Black people? Are you like?
Nolan friend talking about he regret going to Horn Island. What is there to regret? Y'all was going to have a good time, but a good time turned into a bad time. Not for you, not for Wyatt, not for Brad, but for Nolan. He talking about how much he regret going out to Horn Island with his Black friend. Because his Black friend was the one that didn't make it back. And it got me wondering, how come they all was able to make it back? Everybody except for Nolan.
What do you wish never happened? One young man said, I wish we never went out on July 4th. Well, why? If you did nothing wrong, maybe I wish I would have stayed behind with Nolan. Maybe I wish I would have encouraged him to go ahead and come with us. If you have all these wishes, why is that your wish?
Yeah.
You got to pay attention to words. Your word. If he committed, if he was attacked by somebody else, what would your wishes be? I wish I would have talked to him more to find out what was going on with him, to see if he was having any problems. I wish I would, there's so many other wishes to have other than the wishes that they've brought to the forefront. To me, those thoughts matter because you could have said all these other things and you didn't. It's like something else. And that's why you have that grand wish that we would have never went out there that day. Why?
If y'all thought that was crazy, y'all need to hear what this lady had to say.
I just watched a video. It is midnight. I just finished a workout and something clicked. I watched a video that made something else click that I watched earlier today, and that's this. The kid calls for a tow. The woman, Vicky, calls the captain to do the tow. And she says, this kid's grandfather, this Jerry Ackerman, is a member. Before she says the guy's name, the captain says, Jerry? I just got off the phone with him. I literally just got off the phone with him. And he said that they don't need a tow, that they're fine. So, hold on. The grandson is calling for the tow simultaneous to the grandfather calling the captain of the towboat saying they don't need a tow before the captain gets a call from Vicky. When did the kid call the grandfather? While the boat is sinking? He called grandfather for what could grandfather possibly do for you? He called the grandfather for advice. What the fuck do we do? This kid's dead. Grandfather said, you gotta make a fucking trail. That you tried to get help. There was an accident. Something happened. The boat's going under. Okay, it's a boat. Call. So there is a recording of you trying to get help for something. And we'll figure it out later. I think that their story has evolved. But that was what the grandfather thought of then, to create a timestamp in history of what was happening, what they were doing, where they were, and that there was a completely different emergency happening, nothing to do with Nolan, okay? And the grandfather did not want to get billed for this tow, and obviously didn't want the captain to go and happen upon whatever the fuck's going on, so he preempts the emergency call to the captain and says, hey, you might get a call, but they don't need it. I walked them through it. It's fine. It was an alibi advised by the grandfather. You remember the Murdoch documentary series? You remember that, right? You remember when his son killed a girl in a boating accident, right? And how they completely jumped into action immediately without skipping a fucking beat to do a cover-up. They all get back, they all wipe in unison, all wipe their social media. Why would you have to do that? Well, why the fuck would you have to do that? If you left him on the island, why are you deleting all of your social media? Another thing.
I couldn't imagine that they want to get underage drinking on camera. So what they had articulated to me that it wasn't abnormal for people not to snap and not to do a lot of pictures and things like that because they were focused on
but you
being
told me
off of the
they
main
showed
man.
you pictures and videos.
Yeah,
so
but
they
it's
did
not
take
uploaded.
Pictures and videos.
No. it's not a lot of pictures and they weren't uploaded.
Shut the fuck up, Brandon, because he is spinning his wheels here, trying to convince Nancy that the boys were telling the truth. They let me see their videos on their phones. And that, of course, they wouldn't want to film themselves drinking. They all film themselves drinking. No, but they wouldn't upload it onto Snap. Here's why he just fucked up. The mother, one of the first days after this all happened, the mother said, we wanted his phone because he had snapped and we wanted to see the snaps that he had snapped. And the snaps were deleted. So she had seen his snaps. The whole point of Snapchat is that you are able to post things that maybe you don't want a record of, but at least everyone knew you were having fun. The stuff deletes. You know if someone screenshots it. So he had absolutely snapped. They wanted to go into his phone, into his account, because you can see your historic snaps, and those were gone. And today, Crump, the family via Crump, subpoenaed Snapchat and Meta. Why would they do that if they didn't abso-fucking-lutely see his snaps that those fucking kids deleted? And this fucking Brandon Tatum is helping them cover it up. Fuck you. Ew, Brandon Tatum. Anyway, those are my thoughts right now. I think it's obvious to us all.
Yeah, she said something when she said that, but what this lady got to say is even crazier.
Oh, these little liars. I told y'all that Jax was the ringleader. I told y'all. He sat in this interview and he was telling stories about shit that he wasn't even there to witness. So let's break down some of the stuff that I heard in this interview. Let's start with Warren's first phone call, because y'all will remember that Warren said that he was over at Ava's house for that 4th of July party when they all started realizing that Nolan was missing, and he called Miss Christine at 11 o'clock.
One of the first things I told Miss Christine Wells in the first phone call that ever occurred with anything to do with Nolan Wells being gone, because I was the first person to call Miss Christine about anything. First phone call, anything to do with Nolan Wells, was me making a phone call to Christine Wells. And one of the first things I said to her, with multiple witnesses here, pull up the phone call if you want. She said, oh, well, Nolan's location is with y'all at, where the house we were at. And I was like, well, no, he left his phone with us. I told her this.
And yesterday, the same time that this interview came out, Christine Wells said this.
360 says that he's on land, and he was like, well, no, I mean, when we have his phone.
So both versions of the story say that Warren didn't tell her about the phone until after she confronted him with the 360. Now, Warren tells Miss Christine that he knows somebody in the Coast Guard and that he's going to call them, which is very fucking different than calling the Coast Guard, which absolutely explains why the Coast Guard came out and said at first that they had not received a call from the kids that night. The Coast Guard's initial statement said they weren't informed until 12:30. Then the Coast Guard later changed their story and said, oh wait, actually we did. And it seems to me that that first call was most likely an off the record to a friend kind of deal, which means these people freaked out and didn't call the Coast Guard until after all these people showed up at Jax's house. Which would explain why in the course of this interview it went from Warren called the Coast Guard to we did. Now, when the subject turns to how the family got the phone back from these boys, you'll notice that there was a couple slip-ups.
Warren, you weren't at the house, and so you weren't there when they came to get the phone and all that. So
now remember, Warren just said that he wasn't at the house when the phone was got. And then Morgan talks about getting a phone call from one of the people in Christine Wells' group.
And how did they get the phone back?
So I got a call from a kid we went to high school with. He called me just asking me questions. He saw people posting on Snapchat, like the picture that was circulating.
Except this picture wasn't posted until July 5th. So how could this picture have been circulating on Snapchat that night? But let's continue.
And he called and he was asking questions. He was like, where's Nolan? When's the last time y'all seen him? And then he was like, so where are y'all at? And I told him, I said, we're at Jax's house. And then Warren got on the phone and I don't know. So they come to my house, right? And they kind of
hold on before we get there. Was it confrontational or was it just just trying to find? It was confrontational.
Yeah,
already?
wouldn't y'all agree?
Yeah.
He was 110%. He was very confrontational.
And when did this was this on the night of the 4th or the next day?
This was the night when this was before they came and got the phone. So this is the night of the 4th. Yes.
You guys are missing a part of the story. How did you get from Ava's house to Jax's house? Because Miss Christine is watching you guys on the Life 360. So suddenly she's seeing the phone leave one location and go to another. Of course I would be upset. And now all of a sudden Warren is there when the phone stuff starts happening? He's listening to the phone call? Now I need y'all to remember that Warren also said that the phone was in his truck on the first conversation, as we have from this report. Meaning if we were to believe Warren that he was not there when everybody showed up looking for the phone at some time in between 11 and 1 a.m., so then that would mean after they heard this angry phone call, Warren gets the phone out of his vehicle and puts it in Jack's house and then leaves.
There's probably like 10, 15 people in my house I don't even know. And they're all up in our faces, going crazy, asking where Nolan is, and we don't know. And finally they get into Wyatt's face, and they're like, "Where's your boat? Where's the boat at?"
Demanding his address.
Demanding his address and stuff like that. And he finally ends up giving it to him. We give them the phone. They have the phone at this point. Then they get the address to his house. Then they go to his house. And they're searching all over his boat, what I heard and stuff like that. Well, anyways, I don't really know much about that. But they come back to my house at around 1 o'clock in the morning. We called law enforcement. I was with Wyatt at the time after we left Jackson's house that night. I was with Wyatt, and one person we were with saw that their location was headed towards Wyatt's house. And so Wyatt got on the phone with 911 and was like, "Hey, these people are on the way to my house or already at my house. My mom and my dad are there alone, and they know nothing about this." But Wyatt's mom actually, when they were looking at the boat, they were actually walking from the boat, and she came out and started talking to them.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Wyatt, Morgan, and Jax were all together. Warren was gone for some reason at this point. 10 to 15 people just barge into your house. Don't know why your grandparents weren't around. That might explain some things, huh? Guess y'all had the house all to your fucking self that weekend. But then they ask Wyatt for his address so that they can go look at the boat. Wyatt gives them the address. They start heading over there. Wyatt and Morgan get into a car and leave Jax's house. Somebody else that you were with that we aren't hearing about is tracking someone else's phone. I don't know if it was somebody who was with the group that they had access to, or if they were tracking Nolan's phone and they saw it was heading to Wyatt's house. And even though Wyatt gave them the address, and instead of calling his parents, he calls 911 and tells them, "My parents don't know anything about that's going on. Can you send police over there?" Now, mind you, it was about half an hour after being on the phone with Warren that Christine was able to actually call and report him missing. But she was having to go back and forth and go down to all these different agencies because nobody would fucking help her. And frankly, I want to know why all of this confrontation was left out of the fucking report. Like, if this family had to be removed from 2 different properties by the police, why is there no record of that? And in fact, it wasn't until after these confrontations that MDMR and Ocean Springs Police apparently had their little conversations about who was going to be taking over the case. Because remember, the Jackson County Sheriff Lieutenant told them that deputies had spoken with several friends that had traveled to the island on the vessel with Nolan, and that when they were left, he was in the company of an unknown female. So now, even though Warren had supposedly called the Coast Guard, all these family members are telling the police that the kid is missing. These are the people that last saw them. They're all like, "We last saw him on the island." Still, the deputies said that they did not have reason to believe that there was any water-related exigencies or emergencies. Don't worry, y'all. I've got a lot fucking more to say about this stuff, so come back for part 2. I'm gonna be immediately recording it because Warren fucked up pretty badly in this interview.
All we can do is wait and see. We just gonna have to wait. People getting arrested, charged with threatening officials tied to the Nolan Wells investigation. His friends still free, eating good, living good. Got people sending them money. They got more money now than they did when Nolan was alive. They probably looking for another brother to befriend and get all the way over on. Ain't that how it always go? It's sad too, because people just ain't gonna learn. You gotta choose your friends wisely, regardless of what nationality they are. You get caught slipping, next thing you know you gone, and they got a bankroll. I don't know if Nolan Wells' father got anything to do with this. He seemed like a pretty passive man, especially being married to Christine Wells. But that's like most married men. What you gonna do, boss up? Nolan got caught up out there on Horn Island with Katie. He should have never even went. But you know what? This should be a lesson learned to everybody out there. Everybody need to learn this lesson, man. You're gonna have to stick to what you know. TLC said it best. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Stick to them lakes, them valleys, and them rivers you used to. Because when you fall off that waterfall and land on your head, ain't that ironic? Don't go chasing waterfalls. And Nolan Wells, like a whale, was out there in that water with that girl Katie. He could have been in the hood at a 4th of July barbecue, all over Keisha, all over Tawana. He a big, tall, strong football brother. He could have easily snagged him a sister, you know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to Nolan. We just gonna have to wait and see how this turned out with his phone. Y'all let me know what y'all feel about this in the comment section. Hit that like button. And one more thing before I go.
Subscribe to my channel if that's what you want. But if that's not what you like, then you must be a punk. Hold on now, here we go. Who is this girl? She got that junk in her trunk. Baby girl, back it up, poke out your rump. It's S.A.T that you want.